White letters on a black background, thriving with vision loss with special guest Lena Regina Smith. This is a Zoom style interview. I'm Michelle. I'm seated on the left in a black chair with a wood slat background, wearing a purple shirt and purple headband. Lena Regina Smith is sitting on the right, wearing a paint splattered smock and sitting in front of a beautifully painted flower background. Welcome to Thriving with Vision Loss, an eleVIVO original series. Today I'm joined by Lena Regina, a multidisciplinary artist based in Northwest Arkansas, whose work has gained national recognition after she transitioned from photography to tactile multisensory painting following her vision loss. At eleVIVO, we help people navigate vision loss by connecting them to practical information, local resources, and professionals so that they can move forward with more confidence. We offer a free 6-month trial for individuals, which you'll find linked in the description. Let's jump in. Hey, Lena, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. This is going to be so much fun. To start, can we share what granular corneal dystrophy is and how it affected your vision?
Yes. So I was born with granular corneal dystrophy. It is affecting both eyes. And as you'll see here on the screen, there's the left and the right eye, and they look like the moon. The surface of my cornea actually looks like the moon. And when I'm looking out of my eyes, I would say that it does kind of look like I'm looking out of the moon, because as you can see on the surface, on the cornea, on the photo here, you'll see the pupil. And the pupil, of course, you'll see is black. But on the surface of that pupil, you're going to see a lot of white, and it looks milky. It has a lot of spots, almost like the Grand Canyon. It's the best way for me to describe this. These spots all over my eyes end up getting light caught into the spots like the Grand Canyon, and the light starts hitting the sides of those spots that you'll see here in the photograph. And so the light gets stuck into the canyons. And instead of being like a normal eye and the light coming in and going right back out, and you're getting your image, you're able to see, my light's coming in, getting stuck and causing me chaos. And so um, when I'm looking out, like right now, for instance, I can see you, but I have to find you through the spots that are on the cornea. So everyone wonders, like, well, how are you doing art? And it's because I have some clearings, but those clearings eventually will be covered with, the milky stuff that you see on the cornea. And eventually I won't have any more spots to look through. And that won't happen till I'm probably more in my 70s. I'm 50, if anyone's wondering. So I've got 20 more
You look
years.
gorgeous.
Well, thank you. I
I
appreciate
wish I
that.
was nearly as pretty as you are.
Oh, stop. But for 50 years, I've been, playing with this whole eye disease thing, I was a photographer, weddings in particular. I
Mhm,
did that for 20 years. And my vision was, the spots were a lot bigger
mhm.
back then. And as I've gotten older, the spots get smaller and smaller and smaller. My dad, my sister, me, and my daughter, we all have the same eye disease. So I don't feel completely alone in this journey. Um, I don't want to say I'm lucky that
Mhm.
I have family members, who have this. It's not a luck thing, but I'm grateful that I don't have to do this alone.
You kind
Uh,
of know what to expect.
I know what to expect because I've watched my dad.
Mhm,
He's 83.
mhm,
And so my sister, she's 13 years younger, so she knows when the driving stops. My
mhm,
daughter, she knows what's coming. And I told her, I was like, you gotta live life and live it hard,
mhm,
because you have your vision now. So
mhm.
you're in the sighted world. Go live and do all the things sighted, because eventually you're not going to be a part of that sighted world where you're driving and have the freedom to do all these things. And so it's an interesting thing that there's four of us that are, with this dystrophy. And there's several dystrophies of the eyes. From my understanding, we have the rarest one of the dystrophies, of course.
Of course.
And so, um, it's a struggle, but we make the best of it.
Mhm. I think your attitude is wonderful. And I mean, to be honest, even sighted people, we need to live today because tomorrow might never come.
It may never come. And honestly, I hate to say this, but it's truth. You could walk out tomorrow, get hit by something, and go blind instantly.
Hmm.
And it happens. It
Yeah.
happens. And that's sad and it's scary, but you know,
Yeah. We need
if
to
you're
live
if you're
every
blessed,
day.
yeah, if you're blessed with that vision, by God, go use
Mhm.
it. Use your vision.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, at what point did you realize that your relationship with your art was going to change, not just temporarily, but
Mm.
fundamentally at its base?
Well, I knew that from beginning. Um, when I started my career as a wedding photographer, I knew it wasn't going to be forever. I
Hmm.
knew that it would be maybe 15, 20 years.
Hmm.
I told myself the day I couldn't see the back of my camera would be the day that I had to quit weddings. I was not looking forward to that day, but I knew it would be sometime in the future.
Hmm.
Um, I would say that reality really started setting in when I was about 10 years into my career as a wedding photographer. And then that's when I was like, I'm going to try to do everything I can as a wedding photographer to get in magazines, books, travel,
Hmm.
do all these things because it's going to come to an end.
Hmm.
And so when I was doing all this photography stuff, I was in magazines, I won awards, I traveled, I went and saw and did so many cool things, you know? And
Uh-huh.
so um the very end of my career, I was still kind of a mess and still at a loss. And I'll admit, if that was 8 years ago,
Hmm.
I'm still kind of at a loss. I'm
Okay.
not going to say that I have everything figured out. I don't think I ever will.
I don't think any of us ever do.
No, I don't think so.
I think we're
I
all
don't think
works
so.
in progress.
Yes. Yes. I think the day we figured it out is probably like on our deathbed.
If then,
Honestly. Yeah.
if then, I'm not optimistic on my end. I don't think I'm ever going to figure it out,
I don't know if I will, but I'm having
but
fun
I'm
trying.
okay with it.
Yeah, me too.
So, how did your vision loss affect your identity as an artist? Did that
Ooh.
change?
Um, Goodness, I it's hard because I have to use a blind cane now.
Hmm.
Um, and I use a blind cane because my eyes can't translate what's happening quick enough anymore. Whereas before, when my eyes had the bigger circle, vision holes, I call them vision holes,
Hmm.
um, the vision was able to translate quicker, right?
Hmm.
And so that's how I was able to do weddings, walk around, do all those things.
Got it.
And as the vision has progressed to worse and worse and worse, I've had to use blind cane because I fell down twice last year, and
Oh.
I thought, this is stupid. Why, like, who am I trying to, what am I trying to prove?
Hmm.
Like, who am I trying to prove it to? What? This is dumb,
Yeah, I
you
have a
know?
friend, Sam, and he said that his moment of I need to use the cane was he went out for a run and he smacked face first into about three poles. And then he
Oh,
realized that he didn't want to do that anymore.
no, yeah, see, and I have a hard time translating stairs and curbs,
Hmm.
especially stairs. They scare me to death. Escalators are the worst. They look like slides. There is no definition.
Hmm.
It's just slide. And there's been times I've sat on my bottom and have gone down the
Dun,
stairs
dun, 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 dun.
because I
Yep.
can't make it out. And I'm like, oh God, my jeans are going to be awful. But I'd rather do that than fall down the stairs. But
Yeah.
identity, man, that's a hard one. I would say I'm still on the struggle bus with this one because I have days where I'm feeling like I can conquer the world. And then days where imposter syndrome is choking me to death and I can't breathe. And I think that's probably pretty normal
Yeah.
to
I
go
think you're
through.
human.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you're human. I think all of us have that moment of imposter syndrome,
Oh yeah. Big
but
time.
what is it they say? Fake it till you make it.
All the time.
So, was there a moment when tactile art stopped feeling like an adaptation and started feeling like your art?
You know, I've always loved touching things. Like I'm a big like I go to the store and I want to touch all the clothes. I want to,
Hmm.
you know. So tactile things always kind of made just sense in my brain.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
but it's becoming more and more. that I find that's more fun. And what I find fun about it is that people want to touch things,
Mm-hmm.
even sighted people. They want to touch the art. People want to touch things. And so I wanted to do something that was, with a thick paint so that
So
people
describe
could,
that for me. That's
yes, so that people
beautiful.
could touch this. So what I have here is like a little 5 by 5, or maybe it's a 6 by 6 canvas.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably 1 inch in depth. I didn't do the sides. I kind of regret that now. I wished I had done the sides. But and I could probably go back and do the sides. I got a really thick paint, and I've got like, what would you call that? Seafoam green at the
Yeah.
bottom. And I used a palette knife to just kind of make these marks going up and down with these
Mm-hmm.
colors. So at the bottom is seafoam green. The
Mm-hmm.
next one I would call a grass green.
Mm-hmm.
The one after that, it almost looks black, but what it is like, I call it pine green.
Mm-hmm.
Like from a pine tree when it's almost dark outside, that it's very dark. And then I would call it like a Payne's gray
Mm-hmm.
at the top of that. And then royal blue. And then what do you call that? Like aqua, maybe
Yeah.
aquamarine. And it's very textured. I took this to the Blind Summit, and a lot of the blind and low vision enjoyed this piece in particular because their fingers kind of fit in the palette
Mhm.
knife markings. And so a lot of people walked around with it and they were petting it. And it
I
was
would
really cute
probably
to
do that
see.
too.
Yes, I do it a lot. I love to sit and just touch, like, I want to touch the art.
It's like your stress art.
It is
Yeah, it's
stress
like a
art.
stress ball, but it's in art.
Yes, in art. And I think that art should be touchable. I have more things to show, but I figured we could do that as we're
That's
talking.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
So, can you walk through your creative process now
Yeah.
from start to finish?
Yeah, so creative process is a lot of fun. Everything, and I mean everything to me is inspiration.
Mhm.
I don't care what it is. It could be, look, I'm looking for something on my desk. It could be this mouse.
Mhm.
This could be inspiration because I see this shape in it and a
Mhm.
form in it, and it's smooth, and it's like color black. I don't like black, but how am I going to improve this mouse? And if it was a piece of trash, I could mount this on a canvas
Mhm.
and start from there and just go from that.
Mhm.
I love to glue things together, staple things together. I've got this piece here I'm going to show you. This is an 8 by 10 canvas
Oh,
board.
yeah.
Okay, the back is covered with a red piece of felt because on the back you can still feel it. I think I got to glue another piece on here. You can feel the staples. Okay,
God.
so on the front of the canvas are about maybe 500 rubber bands. They're blue, yellow, green, and red. These are rubber bands that I found at Harbor Freight.
Uh-huh.
So my husband, he's a technician, so he goes to Harbor Freight a lot to get
Mhm.
tools and
My
things.
husband loves Harbor Freight. It's his
Yeah,
favorite store.
I love Harbor Freight. I love Lowe's and Home Depot
Hmm.
because it's an art store.
Yep.
It's not a mechanic type store. That's an art shop to me. And so I saw these rubber bands and I thought, oh, that would make, I don't know what it would make, but I'm going to make something. So I
Mhm.
stapled all of them onto this board. And when it shakes, it kind of has a wave to it. I also
It seems
put
like it
some
has a
little,
sound too.
it does a little bit. And it has little beads that I found. So there's like little beads that I tied at random in here. So when you're putting your fingers through it, you'll feel like little beads, and
Oh,
you can,
neat.
pick them up and feel them. There's like little hearts and dice and
Uh,
little marbles, and there's a star. I think this might be a teddy bear on here, I think.
oh, cool. I love it.
And the smell is very interesting because it's rubber bands.
Oh,
So there's a smell factor to this one as well.
oh,
And so the
neat.
feedback for this one at the Blind, Summit was really interesting as well. A
Hmm.
lot of them just were, petting, like a lot of the
Hmm.
people who were here to
That's
see
what I
my
would be doing.
another stress piece.
Uh-huh.
And they were sniffing it. Everybody was sniffing it like crazy.
We need to talk later because I want a piece of your art for my desk.
I love sniffing it. It's fun. I
It's
don't know.
awesome.
It's so much fun. But I find inspiration everywhere. So this one has 1,000 pom-poms on a wooden board. So
Uh-huh.
it's a 12-inch round. It's pretty thin. And
Hmm.
it's got some holes in there so that I can hang it up later if I wanted to. But this has pom-poms, a
Hmm.
thousand of them. Some of them are layered on top of others. This one is very interesting to feel. It's not as soft as you think.
Really?
It's no, not at all. The pom-poms are pastel in color. I wanted to give description. I
Mhm.
forgot. But a few of the pom-poms have a royal blue or an orange, but the majority are sky blue, purple, yellow, greens, but more in the pastel. And a few of them have sparkles on the pom-poms.
I like
But
sparkles.
I do too. I love it. But this is not as soft. I'm kind of disappointed because I really thought the pom-poms would have
Hmm.
conveyed as a softer, like, oh, I want to pet it and touch it, you know. Mm-mm, it doesn't. But when and I do a lot of art with my eyes closed
Hmm.
because I want to know what fully blind is going to be feeling and touching.
Got
So Sighted loves this piece. A lot of people
it.
called
Hmm.
it boobs, but I didn't name it boobs, but I thought it was funny because a lot of people called it boobs, and I don't know why, but they did. So that
That's
was funny.
great.
That was funny to hear that. And then of course, because I love smell, because the vision loss,
Hmm.
my smell has really, and my hearing is unbelievably crazy. And I call it selective hearing too, because I
Hmm.
don't listen to my husband all the
I
time.
might have that too. You hear the Charlie Brown teacher, wah, 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 wah.
Oh,
Hmm. He hears me like that too, though, so it's
yeah,
fair.
I tune some things out. But my hearing, I can hear the school bus nearly 2 miles down the
Wow.
road. My husband cannot hear it until it starts to come,
Mhm.
crest the mountain. I can hear it. It's really wild. So some of my senses have heightened. It's really crazy, but I think it's fun. The smelling thing
Mhm.
is a big thing for me because I'm Gen X.
Mhm.
Do you remember back in the 80s, we had sticker books,
Yep.
and a lot of the stickers were scratch and sniff.
Yep.
Well, I got online and I found a lady online. I don't remember her website, but I just Googled 80s scratch and sniff stickers. She's got a whole store online of just 80s scratch and sniff stickers.
Oh God.
I spent way too much money. I had money from a artist residency.
Hmm.
I spent nearly $100 on stickers, but listen, it was residency grant money, okay? So don't come at
And you're
me.
making art with it, so who cares?
And I was making art, so I bought a lot of stickers. And I have a lot left over because when you scratch and sniff, they start to, get
Yeah.
bad, so I can replace the stickers. But I'm struggling with this one, how to make this low vision and blind friendly. So I'm at a struggle on this one. So everything for me is about experimentation.
Mhm.
So I drew the sticker on a piece of paper and framed it because I was like, I've got to put the stickers on something where I can peel the sticker off and replace the sticker.
Mhm.
But this doesn't help my blind and low vision people. It only does well for their smell. And for the sighted, it's like, woohoo. So I think what I'm going to do is use a glue gun to outline it and go bigger, like on 8 by 10 or 11
Uh-huh.
by 14, outline it with hot glue. And I'm going to show you. So
Oh,
yeah. So what we've got here, and this is,
here,
like
pull
in
it back
case.
a little so it focuses.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, there
So
you go.
so I say, for the sighted world, this is awesome. And for the low vision blind, it's still awesome because you've got a blind bump here and they
Uh-huh.
can feel like, oh, there's a sticker here. I mean, you can still feel the stickers, the
Hmm.
difference, but you scratch and sniff and this smells like wet dog. It's disgusting. But I wanted disgusting and I wanted smell good. I wanted both. So
Oh,
we've got a sundae here and we've got wet dog. And like I say, wet dog's disgusting, but I've got a lot more flavors down here. I've got
oh, that'll
pickles
be
and
fun.
80s eraser. I've got nasty onions, rotten cheese, stuff like that.
Oh man.
But, I'm struggling with how to make this,
That
blind, low vision friendly.
fun.
It's all about experimenting. So I'm going to keep experimenting with it because I want people to
I
enjoy.
can't wait to see what you do with
Yeah,
it.
I wanted
'Cause
people to
that's
enjoy
so
the
cool.
smell and the tactile. I just want it to be really immersive. I want people
And
to
I'm an 80s
enjoy
kid
art.
too, and I love scratch and sniff.
Me
So I feel
too.
you.
It's the best. And when everybody saw that at my show,
Hmm.
they were freaking out. It didn't matter if you had sight or not. They just wanted those stickers. They
Yeah.
wanted to scratch and sniff. Everybody was
Yeah.
scratch and sniff. Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome. So I think you've actually answered that one. So what do you think when you think about accessible art? What does that mean to you? Not just for the artist, but for the audiences too.
Mm. So being in the sighted world, and that's the funny thing to me, like knowing that I have this vision problem, I kept creating a lot of art for sighted,
Hmm.
because I'm sighted. But
Hmm.
I didn't think about, there's people who can't see very well, even though I had this blind low vision problem growing up,
Hmm.
living with it, not thinking about it. And I think part of that was I don't want to think about it until I have to,
Hmm.
you know. Um, and I have some regrets about that. I wished I had thought about it more because I feel like 50 years went by. Oh, now I'm thinking about tactile. Like I should have been doing this, a long time ago because I have always dealt and played and piddled around with art even as a photographer.
Hmm.
And so, um, I have some regret about not piddling with it sooner
Hmm.
because getting the feedback from everyone, low vision, blind to sighted, has just been phenomenal.
Hmm.
Especially when it comes to this, 6x6 piece with the
Hmm.
the you know the colors on here. Um, I should have been doing this much sooner.
Hmm.
And so what I'm finding is when I go to an art museum, I'm frustrated
Hmm.
because I have vision, but when I'm walking, my vision is way worse.
Hmm.
If I sit in a wheelchair, it's a little bit better,
Hmm.
but there's still a lot of movement happening. But I have to stand really still and wait and wait and wait. And then I'm like, oh, I can finally see. And there's still frustration because I don't see that good.
Hmm.
And so museums give us, headphones to listen to the description of the art.
Hmm.
Now, why would I want to go to a museum to listen to a description of the art when I can sit at home and listen to the description of the art? Like, what's the point of an art museum for low vision and blind if I can't even really enjoy the museum?
Hmm.
Like, oh, yeah, you gave me some headphones, but I can't touch anything at all.
Hmm.
And the descriptions that they hang up, the font is so tiny, I don't even know how sighted people can read it.
That's what I was going to
And
say. As a
yeah,
sighted person, I have trouble with it sometimes.
right? And I walk around, I have my monocle all the time.
Hmm.
Like I hang it around my neck because right now I can still use that.
Hmm.
And eventually, like I've watched my dad have his monocle, and eventually I won't be able to, use it because it won't matter. I won't be able to
Got
see
it.
through it. But for now, that's what I use. So it's very frustrating at museums when
So
you can't
what do you think
read.
they could do? What are some ways that the
Mm,
galleries and the museums and organizations could do
yes.
better to be more inclusive, both to the
So
artists and to the patrons?
I have been thinking so hard on this. I feel that there needs to be an area of every art museum and any museum for that matter that is welcoming to low vision, blind, neurodivergent, even those in wheelchair,
Mhm.
because sometimes I do use wheelchair. There are times because I have another issue going on with my heart. So sometimes it doesn't, uh, pump enough blood and I have low blood pressure. And so sometimes I don't have enough pressure to keep myself upright.
Yeah, and
So
you don't want to feel that.
I have found some frustration in the wheelchair world as well. And so um, when I go to a museum, there's a big frustration, not only with that, but you've got to think about children too. They don't want to keep their hands to themselves. They
No,
want to touch things, they want to explore things. Everybody wants to explore. I can
a little kid.
appreciate, yeah, I'm a kid at heart.
Hmm.
And so I've thought long and hard about like how do we make an art museum more accessible
Mhm.
beyond the ADA
Mhm.
requirements. And when I was walking in our local art museum here in Bentonville, and I don't want to say the name because I don't want to, get in trouble, but or have you in trouble saying something, but they've got a beautiful museum. However, there is really nothing that's low vision, blind friendly. In fact, the museum in Chicago is the same way too.
Mhm.
A lot of the art museums and galleries.
Mhm.
If you're doing something for blind, low vision, you're not, in my opinion, ousting us. I feel like you're including us by making an area of the museum that is touchable, but for the art that is non-touchable, like let's say a Van Gogh, obviously, nobody's going to be touching that piece of
No.
art. There are 3D printers now. Why can we not 3D print the famous Van Gogh
Mhm.
and 3D print this out so that it is down at a level that wheelchair can access it, but it's down where anybody can
Mhm.
touch that piece of art that's hanging up,
Mhm.
but it has it down below,
Mhm.
and then have a huge description. So
Mhm.
not only do you have your headphones, but you can be touching that art in front of you
Mhm.
that is non-touchable. So not only should they have that, and they don't have to do it for all the art. That
Yeah.
would be very expensive. I
Mhm.
get that. But key pieces in the museum,
That would be
I
amazing.
feel, why aren't we not doing this?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
So, moving along, you won the 2024 National Rare
Mm.
Artist Award. Congratulations. Gold
Thank
star for
you.
you. So, can you share a little bit about the award?
Yeah, here it is. Isn't it pretty?
Yes. Can you describe it for me?
Yes. So it is an artist palette. It is like a see-through. What do you call this? I'm not sure what this material is called. It's not glass. Is it glass? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't know. It's really thick. It looks like glass, and it's an artist palette. It says 2024 Rare Artist Award presented to Lena Smith. The Rare Artist Program, powered by the Every Life Foundation for Rare Diseases, was established to exhibit the unique gifts of individuals in the rare disease community to tell their story and advocate through art. And it says Rare Artist, and it has a paintbrush on here. And so this is my pretty award that I've
Awesome.
never had a trophy or an award, so this is really exciting.
That's
And
awesome.
they gave me a prize money,
Hmm.
and they flew me to Washington, D.C. in February of last year to advocate and to represent Arkansas. And that was a huge, huge honor
Yeah,
and very scary at the same
I would
time.
bet. I wish I'd known you were doing it because I'd have been there and I'd help. I'd have been there with you.
Yeah, it was very scary. My in-laws drove me from Northwest Arkansas to Washington, D.C. They
Wow.
drove, I think it was
Wow. That's a
18
long way.
hours. Yeah, 18 hours in the car all the way to DC. I just want to do shout out to my father-in-law, James Sizemore. I want to just say his name because
Hmm.
thank you. I can't say it enough to him, but he drove like a boss
I bet
all
he
the
did.
way, all
I've
the way
done that
through.
drive. It's a long way.
It was insane, but it was the opportunity of a lifetime. They, of course, compensated our travel, so that was a lovely thing. And so we were able to stay in a nice place and, meet the congressmen and senators of Arkansas. And it was really exciting because one of the congressmen uh, it's a small world,
Hmm.
knows my daughter's, granddad. It's just, this whole thing. And
Hmm.
so when I walked in, he was able to identify me by my name, and that was pretty awesome. I felt very like, oh my gosh, somebody
Look at
knows
me.
me. And he really listened, and I really appreciated him listening. Um, we're not going to really go political here, but a few of them were not present, and just didn't seem very interested in anything that I had to say. Let's just leave it like that.
There are some people that just don't get it
They
until it
just don't
happens
care.
to them.
They just don't care. But that's okay. That's okay because you always have wins and you have losses.
Mhm. Got to
And I
make
felt,
everybody happy.
yeah, I felt like the one congressman heard me and we talked about low vision and blind in Arkansas. There's not a whole lot here for our community.
Hmm.
It's kind of sad.
Hmm.
There's really no public transportation. There's really no help. There's no support. I am self-trained with my blind cane.
Hmm.
I'm just self-training on a lot of stuff because there is no assistance here.
Yeah,
So
one thing that eleVIVO's got in the future coming up, spoiler alert, we're going to be working on doing online classes in
ah,
orientation and mobility.
that's
Um,
awesome.
once we get the technology for people who live in states like Arkansas or some of the big states that don't have trainers readily
Yeah,
available. It is
yeah,
best to have an orientation and mobility trainer with you to learn, but an
sure.
80% solution is better than no solution at all.
Exactly. I would rather use my blind cane and figure it out as I go
Hmm.
versus falling.
Yeah.
And when I was in DC, I met another fellow low vision person,
Hmm.
and he saw me with my hiking cane, and he's like, "What's the hiking cane about?" And I was like, I got bad vision. He's like, "Why don't you have a blind stick?" I was like, "I don't know." It's like, I guess I'm scared. I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm doing. And I said, "I have one." He's like, "Where is it?" I was like, "It's in my bag." And he's like, "Go get it." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And so I went and got it, and he showed me how to use my cane on stairs.
That's awesome.
It was priceless.
That's
It was
awesome.
completely priceless. It was the best moment just because I was like, wow, somebody actually sees me,
Hmm.
like, and
Yeah.
says, hey, this girl needs some help. And he spent, 30 minutes with me showing me how to go up and down the stairs. And I'm more confident with stairs now because of him. But DC it was a very interesting trip. It was exciting. We were there for about 4 days.
Hmm.
We went to a lot of meetings on Capitol Hill.
Hmm.
It was a lot of talking about rare disease. It was a lot of advocating. It was talking about low vision and blind in Arkansas. I talked about Social Security disability and how ridiculous that system is, especially for low vision blind people. Like they make us jump through the biggest hoops to prove that we have, eye problems and like right now it's just this, and I'm sure you hear this a lot with low vision and
Well, one of
blind.
my
So
best friends is blind, and I'm helping him get into that program. And I'm sighted and it's tough.
it is, I have court next month. And I have to, it's for my reconsideration to prove, my eye problems because my eye problems, on the surface, I've got the moon and everything. And I
Mhm.
didn't tell you that those openings, sometimes my eyelid will rip them open.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And when that happens, I can't see at all. I'm blind.
No.
And I can be blind for several days.
Hmm.
I don't know what to do with myself sometimes because I'm not used to the full blind world,
Hmm.
So I'm experiencing a lot of different things. But when they rip open, the pain is like, level 1 through 10. I want to say, it's a level 1,000,
Hmm.
because it feels like a sunburn and somebody's dropping sand like this the entire time into the hole that ripped open.
Oh, that's horrible.
So when you tell Social Security this, they're just like, they roll their eyes like, okay, whatever, and so when I was in DC, I was telling them about this. I
Hmm.
was telling them about my struggle with, Social Security disability, but not just me, millions of people, not even those with, vision problems. There's other people who've got brain cancer and, other things that can't work, and so it's a big problem. And it was a big thing that I was really running my mouth a lot on Capitol Hill about it.
Well,
And
you're putting a face to it. It's
yes,
not, some amorphous concept
right.
of someone out there who might have a problem. It's, yo, it's me.
It's me. and it's not just me, it's a lot of people.
Mhm.
Our community isn't huge, but there's a lot of us, like I know when they have the NFB or ACB or whatever
Mhm.
the events, there's like, 3, 4,000 people with vision problems that attend. That's a lot.
It's pretty terrifying, really.
That's a lot.
I've dove into the statistics, and it's actually getting worse
Ugh,
because of diabetes, and the baby
COVID.
boomers are now hitting macular degeneration.
Yep. And COVID
And
caused problems too for
yep,
people.
it's the program is escalating, but the programs aren't.
Right.
And that's terrifying. And that's what eleVIVO is doing is we're trying to do something about this before it becomes an unmanageable problem.
Yes. And that's why I was making so much noise in
Hmm.
DC. I was supposed to go again next month,
Hmm.
but I have court at about the same time as DC, so I couldn't
Hmm.
go to
Hmm.
go, raise some more
Good trouble.
ATLL,
Good
you know.
trouble.
But there'll be somebody there from Arkansas representing. There'll be a couple ladies there. So they'll
Well, the
be
next time you
representing.
get to DC, you need to let me know so that I can come visit you.
Yes,
Because I
yes.
live about an hour out from DC. So it's not very far.
Oh, I wish we had met, earlier
A
this
year
year
ago, yeah.
because,
It could have
oh,
been so much fun. We would have caused a lot of good trouble.
yes. And, the really cool part about DC was they had an artist reception for me,
Hmm.
and my art was on display on Capitol Hill, which is really
Oh, wow.
exciting to
That's so
say.
cool.
This is the winning piece.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
again, this is from what I call sighted world art. Now, I'm going to describe it. I don't remember what size it is. Huge. It's a big
Hmm.
one. I don't remember. I 36 inches maybe on the
Hmm.
length. I'm not sure. But it is an owl. And it's the background I finger painted. So the background is completely finger painted. I didn't even know I was going to paint an owl. I finger painted the background one day, threw the canvas to the side, and it sat for nearly a year.
Hmm.
And then I saw that art contest for rare artists. If you have any rare disease,
Hmm.
you can enter the contest. So I was like, hmm. And they're like, what represents your disease? And I thought, I'm an owl. I've always thought of myself as an owl because owls have really great vision.
Hmm.
And in my mind, I want to have great vision.
Hmm.
And so I was like, I'm an owl. And so I wanted to make like
That's
something kind of
fantastic.
psychedelic looking. And so the owl is white. It's very wispy. I used a brush that has a lot of wisps on it.
Hmm.
And it's got pinks and greens and like a teal blue and Payne's gray. Payne's gray is one of my favorite colors, which is weird because I love color.
Hmm.
But Payne's gray makes things pop out. So that Payne's gray is
Hmm.
that almost blackish looking
Yeah.
color. And the owl has like a yellow eye and then a
Hmm.
beak. And it's very psychedelic looking.
I love the use of color in all your work. It's
I
so
I
amazing. It
love
just makes
color.
me happy.
I just love
It
color. I
makes
mean,
me
I'm wearing
feel
hot
happy.
pink.
It just makes me
What is
feel
it?
happy.
Yeah, it's
So,
happy. I don't hardly own anything black. I really don't because I just I can't, like I was saying earlier about the mouse, I would have to add color and so,
mhm.
if I mounted this to a canvas, I would have to do something to it. Like,
Oh,
don't get me wrong, black, has its places and stuff, but I don't like the color.
I understand.
Yeah.
So you've been really involved in community focused art. Can you
Yes.
tell us what you're doing to expand accessibility in your local arts community?
Yes. And so, when you have low vision and, loss of vision or blindness, depression is a real thing. Loneliness is a real thing.
Hmm.
And I live very rural, and that can happen out here. Even though I'm married and
Hmm.
I have a 6-year-old, I can still feel very lonely
Hmm.
despite having family and everything. I
Hmm.
still need to have a life.
Hmm.
I still need to go and do things outside of family, and I can't stay at home and be scared.
Hmm.
The world is continuing to go. It's not going to bite me, because, your mindset changes a little bit. You kind of get a little more hesitant about things because you're like, can I do that? can I? Yeah, I can. Why am I doing this to myself? So I decided I wanted to start free arts and crafts classes once a month in town. And it's 8-minute drive, so my husband can take me and drop me off,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then I have a friend that can take me home because it's on her way home.
Mm-hmm.
And so um 3 months ago I started my free arts and crafts classes. And I have like a volunteer teacher who comes and teaches something, or I teach it,
Mm-hmm.
depending.
Mm-hmm.
Last month we did diamond painting. I
Mm-hmm.
can't see to diamond paint. I would love to diamond paint.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would love it. But that is one thing, even with my magnifier, I cannot see the diamonds to paint. And so everybody was excited about diamond painting except for me. But I was like, if we're going to do this class, I need to make it so that those who have eye issues can still participate.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did diamond painting greeting cards for
Mm-hmm.
Christmas. And so people were, or ornaments. So people were diamond painting for those that couldn't. We had markers and glitter. And I was kind of just leading them through, like we can draw a Christmas tree and we can throw glue down. You know what? We can take them diamonds and sprinkle them, you
That's
know?
awesome.
So we're going to have fun regardless,
Mm-hmm.
regardless if we can sit there and do the, intricate work.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let something like that stop
Mm-hmm.
anyone from having a good time at the class. And so for
And
me, I
creating
wanted,
is fun.
yeah, just being around creating and creating and being around people who just want to create, it's a good vibe. It's a
Mhm.
good
It's so
positive.
empowering.
It is. And we did piñatas one
Oh,
month, and
cool.
that was a blast. That was the biggest miss. Oh my gosh. There was, like little, papers everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
but it was so much fun. The kids were putting, the candy in there, and that was an easy thing for anybody to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this month, it'll be this coming weekend, I'm teaching an intro to watercolors
Mm-hmm.
for those who have never even picked up a brush or even know what watercolors is. And so we're going to do a jellyfish because you don't have to have good vision for it. You just
No.
need blobs and
Mm-hmm.
fun,
Oh, that
you
sounds
know?
like a blast.
Yeah.
So, is there any advice that you would give to artists who are newly visually impaired there and wonder if they still can create stuff?
Yeah. Don't let vision be a limitation. It's okay to be like hesitant. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. But if you're an artist and you're starting to lose vision, you've got to reinvent and you've got to rethink art.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I want to keep painting, owls and doing those things, my reality is it's not going to be like that forever. I've got to move on from sighted art.
Mm-hmm.
And so how does that look? How will that work? How do I make this? How do I make this happen? And I just say experiment,
Mm-hmm.
create. A lot of times I close my eyes when I'm making stuff. I just do because
Makes sense.
I know eventually I'm not going to go black, where I can't see, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I'm going to see, but those, holes on my eyes are going to start to close and close and close, where it's going to be, maybe tiny holes where I can see a little bit here and there. I'll still make out shapes and colors.
Mm-hmm.
So I just say keep trying. Don't allow the negativity that surrounds blindness and low vision, because that's what surrounds it is negativity. I hate to say it, but it does. Don't allow that to creep in. I have to put what I call a shield around me.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody a couple of days ago said to me, oh gosh, if I had blind problems or low vision, I would just, off myself.
That's horrible. And I think sometimes professionals, you know, low vision, not really low vision, but ophthalmologists will feed into that by saying, there's nothing more we can do. And there's
Yeah.
always something you can do. There's
You can
always a
change your
way to move.
mind. You can change your mindset. That's something you can do.
Mhm.
And
And
it's a choice. I
all the
believe in
people
that.
I've talked to, that have been thriving with low vision or blindness. It's amazing what they can do. It
Yes.
really is. And your
Yes.
artwork, it's artwork that I could never do. Even, as a sighted person, I could never do that. It's incredible.
Thank you. I do
Yeah.
a lot where I'm trying to use my brain and muscle memory. I've been using both hands
Hmm.
so that I can, I have, okay, it's just right here. I'll grab it.
Hmm.
It's another like finger painting. I have paintings hanging up all over my house. Um,
That's good. Oh, I love it.
so this is
That
a,
speaks to me.
yeah, so this is a 16 by 20 piece, right? And again, more finger painting.
Hmm.
I tell people, I'm like, if you're scared of the brush, you're scared of paint, there's something called invisible hands. It's a glove, and you just squeeze it onto your hands, you rub it into your hands, and you have invisible gloves on your hands at that point. And you can touch the paint, smear it on there. Like,
Oh,
don't be
wow.
afraid of it. I tell people, I'm like, just smear it on. And
That's
that's what I
beautiful.
do. I think I sent you some videos of me
Yeah.
smearing the paint on.
Yes, and I'm
And
going to link those in
yeah,
the bottom, and
yeah,
or I may even add them on at the end of this video so that people can
yeah,
see. You know,
yeah. And so this one I used a brush for the under the sea, but this is a 16 by 20. It's several different shades of blues and teals, and of course my favorite paint's gray. And it looks like it's under the sea. It
yeah, it
looks like
feels like water.
coral. And this is part of my synesthesia, my
Hmm.
musical synesthesia that I have. And I see music.
Hmm.
I
Oh,
don't know
that's
how,
amazing.
and this is what music looks like. I
I
don't know how else
love
to describe it. I always write on the back, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken by Oscar Wilde. And then I always sign it. But I always
I
put
love
like little notes on the backs of my
Oh, I
paintings. I got a
love
lot of them hanging.
I love it. So thank you so much for sharing your story, Lena. This has
Yeah,
been a blast.
thank you.
Your perspectives and your process are so amazing. So where can people go if they'd like to learn more about your work?
Oh my goodness. I would probably say Instagram is probably the most universal,
Okay. And I'll
the
drop
most
a link for
universal.
that in the description section of this so that we've got
Yeah.
it.
And I
Okay.
don't mind my email address being out there, artist Lena Regina at Gmail, like
Okay,
that's
I'll put that in the description also.
yeah.
All right, that way people can reach out to you directly.
Yeah. That'd be great.
So thank you so much to everyone for watching this episode of Thriving with Vision Loss. If this conversation resonated with you, please like and subscribe and let us know in the comments what stood out to you. Um, so you'll find links in the description to also explore eleVIVO's free 6-month trial for individuals, as well as all the links to Lena's work. Remember, vision loss does not mean the loss of creativity. It doesn't mean the loss of contribution or the loss of possibilities. Until the next time, keep on thriving and have the best day ever. The first of Lena's work is Textured Harmony, done in 2025, a square abstract painting built entirely from thick, heavily textured brushstrokes applied in dense, rounded peaks. The composition is arranged in horizontal bands of color, moving from bottom to top, with seafoam green at the base, transitioning into rich forest green, then deep hunter green, then layers of midnight blue and cobalt blue, finally a bright sky blue at the top. The thin lines of white paint catch the light between the ridges, suggesting movement and rhythm. The overall effect is tactile and immersive, like looking at a landscape made entirely of touch. Orbital Cuteness 2025 is a circular mixed media work mounted on a white background composed entirely of hundreds of soft pom-poms in a wide range of sizes and colors. The pom-poms in shades of turquoise, pink, yellow, green, purple, orange, navy, and white are densely packed together to form a full circle. Larger pom-poms anchor the composition at intervals, while smaller ones and tiny metallic sparkle pom-poms fill every gap. The piece radiates joy and tactile invitation, suggesting a world that rewards touch as much as sight. Eyes on You, a 2025 work, is a tightly cropped mixed media piece featuring dozens of smooth, brightly colored spheres, each with a single plastic googly eye affixed to its surface. The spheres come in every color of the rainbow: lime green, magenta, teal, lavender, yellow, orange, red, and sky blue, and are packed edge to edge, filling the entire frame. Every eye looks in a slightly different direction, creating a playful, slightly surreal sense of being watched from all angles. The piece is simultaneously humorous and thought-provoking, engaging the viewer's own sense of sight and observation. Butterflies is a 2022 creation, a richly textured square painting featuring 6 large butterflies in flight against a vibrant layered green background. The background is painted in loose vertical strokes of deep emerald, olive, and bright green, evoking tall grasses or jungle foliage. Delicate white vine and leaf patterns weave across the surface. Each butterfly is raised in a heavily textured relief, with wings filled with deep magenta, hot pink, burnt orange, and burgundy, outlined in raised gold paint that catches the light. The gold veining on every wing is intricate and dimensional, giving the piece a stained glass quality. The overall effect is lush, celebratory, and alive. Hot Lips, a 2020 mixed media painting on a vivid red background covered in loose graffiti-style marks, circles, letters, and symbols in white, blue, and gold. Centered on the canvas is a large abstract silhouette, a rounded feminine form outlined in raised gold paint and filled with an explosion of heavily textured, multicolored paint blobs, rosettes, and spheres in every imaginable color: hot pink, cobalt, blue, lime green, orange, gold, black, white, and more. At the bottom of the canvas, the words Hot Lips are painted in large, bold letters, outlined in black and filled in with bright pink. The piece is raw, layered, joyful, and unapologetically loud. Lena Regina Smith, artist at work. Lena Regina Smith stands behind a wooden table covered in a sea of colorful pipe cleaner sculptures, dozens of small twisted and curled figures in every color of the rainbow. She is laughing with her head thrown back and mouth wide open, her curly brown hair moving with the motion. She wears a mauve sleeveless top and glasses pushed slightly down on her nose. Behind her is a deep teal velvet curtain. Her hands are mid-motion, holding a small piece of green wire. The image radiates pure, unguarded joy. Thanks for tuning in to our series, Thriving with Vision Loss. If you'd like to learn more about thriving with blindness or low vision, check out eleVIVO.com/#/free trial for a free 6-month membership for the first 1,000 people who sign up. If you'd like to be featured in an upcoming episode in our Thriving with Vision Loss series, email michelleB@elevivo.com. That is MICHELLB@elevivo.com. The white letters on the black background fade as Circles by Classless Act plays. Make your way to happy, yeah.